Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Evening Jones. All right, if you're watching at theeveningjones.com, log in, use Twitter profile, Facebook, whatever you use to log in. I honestly, personally have no idea. Anyway, once you log in, you can participate in our chat room. You can also send in your questions. Don't need these in because they're not connected. So I get an email when the electric bill comes through, right? And so I got the email about the electric bill today. Hey, man, any of y'all been hit with like some for real deal exorbitant electric bills in this time of being home all the time? And like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like really even so much feel like I'm using like all this electricity. I really don't. You know, I run a little bit more AC than I used to, but even then, my homeboy said this about the air conditioner. He made a great point. He said his daddy used to say, I work too hard to be hot in my own house. Like, once this money came in, and hell, be honest with you, before this money came in, I had made the decision that this house was going to be cool whether I was in it or not. I was not really interested in walking in and trying to adjust things. You know what I'm saying? Hell no. Like, especially now when I used to come home from work. You know what I'm saying? I get off the train. I'm supposed to come in here and it's 76. It's ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. So I ain't never been about that. But anyway, I do remember a couple weeks ago, it was a little warm in here, you know, and I decided to, reprogram the thermostats, turn the temperature down a degree or two, because I was just going to be here. I might as well, be cooler and turn it down lower at night because I noticed I wasn't sleeping so good because it was just a little too warm in there, Hey, man, I am a single man. I live alone. I want to get this down to the penny for y'all because I about lost my mind. Con Ed tell me that for a month worth of electricity, in order to settle up, it's going to be $444.80. What? I didn't even know that was possible. Like, I don't run the AC in all the rooms when I'm sitting in here during the day. I ain't got no lights on. The TV isn't really on. Like, is it that? Am I pumping that much air conditioning in here? Like, oh man, I gotta change all kinds of my habits to turn the air conditioner down. And when I'm talking about changing my habits to turn the air conditioner down, I'm talking about the kind of habits that don't actually affect the light bill, but the people have a tendency to attribute to the light bill. That kind of stuff. Hey, stop talking so loud. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna run on my light bill. That kind of stuff. Yeah, man, I couldn't believe that shit. $444. You gotta be crazy. Also, I got a question. I just want to throw this out here for anybody, As I've been, talking with y'all through the course of the quarantine and stuff, you may have noticed that I've grown some hair here, right? Did some television with Elle Duncan the other day, and she referred to me by a term I had never heard before, which was she called me a bald man trader. And I'm just wondering out here, do y'all really think I'm a trader? Like, y'all see what's going on with this headline right here? Like, you see I could not, like, make no Caesar out of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember y'all clowning me before I made the decision to come on to the crib. It just so happened the quarantine allowed me to do some things a little bit differently. And then, grew some hair, just kind of kicking it, seeing how it's going to play. You know what I'm saying? Probably won't still be here by next summer. But the problem is, if I come home, I can't leave home because in the absence of a quarantine, I'm probably not going to be able to do like 3 months of wearing hats on television and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But I got accused of being a trader. And I don't, you know what y'all sound like to me? Y'all sound to me like the people, like when I used to be like going places, raising what I think are somewhat fair questions about whether or not Stevie wanted to concede based on some of the activities that he engages in. And people would be mad at me about that. And my question would always be, why do you want Stevie to be blind? Why don't you wish Stevie sight? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if y'all love Stevie Wonder nearly as much as y'all claim to, y'all would hope that this actually was an elaborate ruse and that he could actually see, because then he'd have more joy in his life. Your selfish ass so worried, he was lying to me. Ain't anybody ever lied to you before. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah. Why y'all want Stevie to be blind? By the same token, like, why y'all don't want me to be able to grow no hair? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you wish ill upon me? It's very confusing to me. I mean, like, it's just hard for me to believe that many of y'all are just punk ass busters. Like, in the way that I envision the world, like the way that I imagine it, the way that I see things, I just personally refuse to believe. Like, I have a certain faith in mankind and a faith in humanity that doesn't allow y'all to just all be busters. But who knows? Maybe this is like the Super Buster Zone. Maybe that's what y'all aspire to be. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to say something that might make you think I sound like a buster, but I just kind of want to just throw it out here because I don't know. Like, I'm adjusting to new things. As I've told some of you guys, I've been, engaging in a bit of a fitness regimen. You know what I'm saying? I've been getting my yoga on. I'm getting some places, Like, I mean, I ain't going to never be, like, so much of a deviation from what I am set to be. Like, ain't but so far that I'm ever gonna be actually go. Like, I ain't about to be out here like actually getting swole or nothing like that. You're gonna be like, oh wow, he put on 20 pounds of muscle in the off season. Like, I ain't never gonna be that guy. I'm not working toward that. But just trying to get in shape and like doing some things that I really never had done before, because I've always had bad knees, so I'd always been like careful about like the leg workouts and stuff. But my form is good. I haven't had any knee problems, so I've been working on a lot of stuff. And see, I've been working out off the apps. And so the thing about the apps is, with the app that I use at least, the thing about the workouts is that I'm noticing is that I feel like it is very much so, like the exercises in the exercise programs are, I feel like they know that their like primary users are women. And they ain't got it really in a situation they can click man or woman, but I feel like they know that. And the reason I say that is there's such a great emphasis on all the different like glute workouts. Now, I'm always down to do the glute workouts, and I do a lot of them, but like, as my man Foxworth always says, he's like, yo, the calf is not a functional muscle. It's not an athletic muscle. He's like, the glute, like that's that's where you get your power, all of that, So if you like work out the glutes by and large, you're going to get to, all the other stuff, do your squats and everything like that, So I find myself doing a lot of glute stuff and do like some hip workouts because my hip situation ain't that strong. Like, I identify that as a weakness in my game. So I'll be working on it, And, I ain't been experiencing a lot of changes, but, a couple of changes, Like making that slow creep from like team no booty to team itty bitty booty. I'm making that stride. I'm making that move. And I just want to ask, I don't know if anybody else has like gone through such a journey or anything else, but you ever just find yourself like grabbing your own booty every now and then? Just seeing how it feels now. It's a little different. I don't know. I'm just, coming to, getting in touch with how you put it, with my own shape. Learning to love my body, growing into myself. These sorts of things starting to happen. The other day, I was like, yo, I think my thighs might have rubbed together while I was walking. Yeah, man, it's making this thing happen. That's right, DT3. I don't look back at it very much. But, every now and then just checking in. Just seeing, My calves do look great, though. They're all well-defined and shit. Like, I'll be walking down the street and, like, the windows be reflected, and I can see, like the outer calf make a move when I put the foot down. Hooray, yoga. Anyway, let us move on to your questions. Nah, I don't want to answer this thing right there. I want to do another one. It's about the pumps and the bump video. I gotta be honest with you. Hammer followed me on Twitter. Hammer probably sure would be mad if we start talking about that. He see me talk. Woo! Yeah. That just didn't go the way he thought it would. Hold on, I'm still going through these questions. Wow, it's a lot of questions, and I don't want to answer any of them. Wow, I'm trying to find one, guys. Wow. Like, these aren't bad questions. I just don't like any of them. Okay. T.I. said he has 5 classic albums. I see 1 classic album at least, and that's trap music. How many classic albums would you say he has? If you were to ask me, at this point in my life, the list may have been broader at a different point, but for me, at this point, I would say that T.I. has, I'd probably say 3. You might be able to stretch it to 4. Trap music is absolutely a classic. There was a time where I would have said I'm Serious is a classic, and I don't feel that way about it now, although it does have what's probably my favorite T.I. song, Dope Boys in the Trap. I understand if you think Urban Legend is a classic. I do not. I think it's really good, though. But there's something about it, like the highs on that one don't quite get to the height that I think I want them to be at this point in my life. King. I am inclined to say that King is a classic. I like King a lot. I go there. So that gets us to about 3, I guess. You can do 2 or 3 off of that. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about Paper Trail. Paper Trail is like definitely a bit. I don't even know if I want to say that Paper Trail is commercial as much as it has some like pretty significant commercial moments, which is not quite the same thing. But Paper Trail got jams, and Paper Trail comes with the classic "What Up Was Happening" video that. Rest in peace to Shawty Low, but we can still enjoy that video, right? Like, I just want to make sure that I didn't have to, like, give that back in the name of mourning, because that was the height of disrespect. The height. Now, I ain't really paid no attention to no T.I. records after that one. So you guys let me know. Has there been some classic in, like, the last 12 years that I'm unaware of? Because I feel like there probably isn't. Like, I feel like he did all that. Is Paper Trail, did he do that one? That's the one he did right before he went in, right? Because, like, I feel like the going in is an inflection point on T.I.'s rapping career. All right. Appreciate the question. Oh, I didn't want to answer this. Oh, actually, I do want to answer this. I did this. So I appreciate it because somebody asked, how many Phoebe Bridgers songs did you get through before you decided that was way too depressing for you, no matter how much she just Clapton? 3. I went to one of her records because people told me they were really good. After I found out she had a lyric that was dissing Eric Clapton, I got to 3 songs, and I was like, this is exactly the sort of music I don't listen to. Because what do I not do, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. Recreational sadness. All right, appreciate the question. Let's see what we got here. Do you see a perpetual conversation or complaint surrounding presidential candidates every 4 years? Or do you foresee the emergence of a political party that reflects what the interests say they are looking, internet say they are looking for? I mean, no, that party's not going to emerge. I've said this many times that, I mean, or maybe it will. It's just going to take a while. Like, the mechanics of a presidential system are not conducive to like this multi-party world that you guys imagine. Well, not you guys. That I don't like the way that sounded. But so, for example, I think that people can look up and see in other countries and that they have more than two parties in their systems to say, why can't they be us? That can work in a parliamentary system. It doesn't really work in a presidential one. Like, it's always going to be two. Now, I don't know what exactly like these two parties that we have right now are going to morph or evolve into, but the structure of the game is really not conducive to this idea that all of a sudden this other party is going to emerge, because I don't know when exactly they're supposed to get the votes. Like, the stakes are too high in every election for people to just be out here throwing votes over to third parties. Not if they want their votes to actually be effective. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, there's no way that you're going to be able to account for the lag between, like, the institution of this party and when this party would actually be viable. What we have seen over the course of the last, I guess, century and change or something like that is that we've seen the two parties that we have morph and change around the political environment, but not really the emergence of another one. So, I mean, you can think about what the Democratic Party was in 1948 is much different than what it was in 1988. You know, or hell, by the time you got to 68, it was pretty damn different. But it's still within the context of what those two parties, like within the context of those two parties. So for me, that's what it's going to wind up being. Now, how people are able to get the things that they want into different platforms of the different parties, that becomes, that right there becomes its own thing. I think the question that people are going to have to ask is, if one party exclusively seems to serve the interest of one race, and that race is no longer the majority in the country, then how steady is the coalition going to be on the other side? And what does that then morph into? And what are the power grabs like on that other side? Like, that's where this stuff starts to get interesting. Is figuring out how that's going to go. But I think it's always going to be within the context of the two parties that we have right now. All right. Appreciate the question. I want to close this out, but the damn thing disappeared. Oh, there we go. Let's see what else we got here. Somebody in this room with a question here asking me this on August 19th. He said, Joe Biden said if black people don't vote for him, you ain't black. We as black people supposed to ignore that or nah? What do you mean we? That's Daryl. Like, one thing that is fascinating about all the white people that pretend to be black people on the internet, y'all think we can't tell? Like, if you're trying to fool white people, I guess maybe that works. But like, y'all don't think that we can't tell when it's not a black person? Like, it can be hard to explain at times, but like, we know. We know. Oh, man, it's not a great week for you guys. Do you have any good pyramid scheme stories? Well, yes. I believe I have told this pyramid scheme story before. It does not directly involve me, but it's still a pyramid scheme story, and who doesn't love a good story about a pyramid scheme? In fact, I may have to, well, I'm not going to be doing a podcast next week, but I might have to turn over the right time listeners to talk about these pyramid schemes. So, my homeboy said this dude was trying to get him on a pyramid scheme. And he said the thing that bothered him about the pyramid scheme was not so much that it was a pyramid scheme. In fact, I have two stories about pyramid schemes now that I mention this. All right, so it wasn't so much that it was a pyramid scheme. What bothered him is that the dude would not admit that it was a pyramid scheme. And so the way it worked was there was this juice, right? It was like some grape juice or something like that. And it was supposed to have all these wonderful health benefits, right? Like the juice was supposed to be legit. And so my homeboy was like, cool, let me try the juice. And he's like, nah, that's not how it works. He's like, what you mean? He said, we're not actually selling the juice. He's like, all right, so what are we selling? What you do is you pay somebody and they give you the right to sell the juice. And what you sell to the next person is a certificate that gives them the right to sell the juice. But you notice, nobody's actually selling any juice. All they're selling is your ability to sell the juice. Which means all you're doing is getting somebody to pay you money, and then you roll that money back up to the top, and that is a pyramid scheme. And my man said his partner just would not admit to him that it was a pyramid scheme. Now, I know I have told this story before, but I'll tell it again because it is one of my favorites. So one day, it's not just one day, it was 1 year on Thanksgiving, I went to my homeboy's house. I mean, not his house, excuse me, it was his granny's house. She had us over for Thanksgiving, and I always really appreciated that they allowed me to come through for Thanksgiving because I didn't really have no place to go, right? And so I'm at Granny's house watching, just hanging out with everybody, and Granny said she had something that she wanted us to watch. And the whole family was trying to figure out how to get out of watching this video that Granny wanted us to watch. But, like, she's not my granny. I'm at her home, right? Like, if she says that we gonna watch this video, then we gonna watch this video. And so, going into it, everybody was afraid that it was some kind of scam. You know, she's older, people prey on the elderly. Like, I think she may have got in some way before, right? But they were very concerned that it was some kind of con. But once again, this ain't my granny, so I don't have any of this background information. I'm like, fine, Granny want us to watch a video. We're going to sit, we're going to watch the video, and then when the video's over, that's that, So I'm watching the video, and it's a con. There's no question it's a con. But you got to understand, my man wasn't trying to pretend like it wasn't a con. And so he starts off by describing how everything that he was going to teach was something that he had learned basically getting money from people at churches. Like, I can't remember the exact phrasing of it, but it was basically, I'm going to tell you everything that I learned, and I learned it through organized religion. Like, he laid out the game for you, that he learned how to do this through churches.
And what he said, and this is what I'll never forget because I really thought it was a fascinating play. And what he said was, I have always used this information to get money from people. Now I'm going to share this information with you so that we all can get money. Right. And so I had never thought about this with the pyramid scheme, that people are approaching you on a pyramid scheme on one of two levels. They either see you as being a fellow hustler or they see you as being a mark. And this guy was trying to sell his con to other con artists, which, for what it's worth, resonated with Granny. Anyway, so as it starts playing, and before he gets all the way to the explanation, at some point, Granny's daughter was like, we ain't gonna watch this no more. Like this is going on for, no, I just don't think we need to watch this. And I just remember, and Granny was like, why not? And she said, well, I suspect that it's a con. And Granny looked at her and said, you gonna suspect or inspect? I mean, I feel like right then and there, that meant we was just watching the video. I didn't have no answer for Granny on that. You gonna suspect or inspect? And so we inspected, and then eventually everybody got up. And then after everybody got up, they got up and left, but Granny didn't get up and leave. So they all got up and left, and I'm still sitting there with Granny. Because again, she's not my granny. I kind of got to do what she say. She took me in for Thanksgiving. You gonna inspect or suspect? Appreciate the question. Let's see what else we got here. All right, here we go. Worst fashion trends you ever participated in? All right, so for a little background for you guys, I am 39 years old, almost 40, but I'm 39 years old. And so I graduated from high school in 1997. I graduated from college in 2001. And I bring all those things up to say that when you ask, what's the worst fashion trend I ever participated in? The answer is probably everything that was in fashion from between 1998 or 9 and like 2004 or 5. Like everything we did looked ridiculous. There's nothing that I can look back on fashion-wise from the late 90s and like early 2000s and like give a plausible explanation as to what the fuck we was doing. Like none of it. I have no idea. None whatsoever. Like, and especially in retrospect with like the super oversized clothes, how do we ever know like what the actual right fit was? I feel like I was damn near 30 years old before I realized what any of my sizes actually were. I just had no clue.
I had no idea. You know? And that's what we were. Like top to bottom. All of us. That's what we were. We look ridiculous. Like, I look back at like the 70s, right? In the leisure suits, you know, like all that stuff, man. But I see why them cats thought they was styling. Like, I fully understand why they thought they was on top. Nobody looks at us from that era and is like, oh yeah, I feel you. I see that. I see that. Like somebody who called himself Houston in the chat room says starchy jeans. Where else did they do that other than Houston and like just in the country? Anybody? Because like cats were getting the stay flow, like the industrial starch and putting them hard creases in. And because it's Houston, it ain't just enough that you got like the crease in your pants and the starch or whatever, or that they had it. Everybody else had to have it. It come up to you if you ain't got it. Better put a crease in them pants. Like cats would be real commanding and like dominant about how you need to put a crease in them pants. But this was in the era where our shit didn't even fit. Like, were y'all doing that in other places? Because I just associated that with Houston, just super hard creases. Like, the dry cleaners had to hope, because that's the thing, cats are sending, cats in high school sending their jeans off to the dry cleaner. And like my man said, Cali had creases. Man, creases is not describing what I'm talking about here. Like, it's hard to explain, man. Like, I don't think they still doing that. I don't think it's possible for them to do that in them tight-ass pants they wear now. Dude said New York had it major. Nah, dog, you think they had it major. I know for a fact. Look, I went to college in the era with the New York cats, and I'm here to tell you, they wasn't doing what we was doing. It wasn't, well, not even we, because I wasn't doing that shit. But it wasn't the same. Like, I'm just telling you. Like, you're like, oh, no, we was doing that in New York. No, you were not. No, you were not. How much that industrial strength starch costs? Like, I feel like cats shouldn't even had the money to be doing that. Now, my man said in New Orleans they did it. Now, see, I believe that. All right, appreciate the question. Let me see what else we got here. Has a celebrity ever pressed you about something you said about them? No, that has not happened. I have been quasi-pressed by celebrities about things I've said about their friends. Never directly somebody for something that I said about them. Yeah, but that's happened. All right, let me see what else we got here. On your other show, you mentioned that you have no interest in watching the conventions. Why is that? What's there to watch? Like, what's there for me to be interested in watching? Look, I'm not looking to be swayed. I'm not looking for a pep talk because the conventions are in large part pep rallies. I'm not looking for that. I'm not really trying to meet new people. And it's the playoffs. Like, it wasn't the playoffs when they've had these conventions before. Now they're doing it during the playoffs. So you're going to tell me that I could be watching the convention or I could be watching the playoffs. I'm going to watch the playoffs. Like, I think as we're recording this right now, who they got talking? Isn't Obama supposed to talk tonight? Like, Hillary Clinton's supposed to talk tonight? Kamala Harris, aren't they all supposed to talk tonight? I mean, that's 3 heavy hitters, man. I don't give a damn. I ain't watching none of it. I might watch some videos of it tomorrow. Like, I don't need to watch this live. Ain't they doing this by, like, Zoom anyway or something like that? Nah, baby, I'm good. I don't need that. So, like, I mean, I might turn it over at some point and give it a look, but I'm just, like, I mean, I'm ready to vote right now. You send me my ballot right now, and I'll put it in. I feel like we should do this in a way. Like, I think this is something they should consider. You guys tell me what you think about this, right? They should do a vote, like, on September 1st. And all they ask you to come in and say is,
Are you ready to vote right now? And if you're ready to vote right then, they should let you go ahead and vote right then. That's all I'm saying. Right? Give us the option. Some of us don't need the rest of this time. And if enough people go ahead and vote right then, that we feel like we got an accurate picture of who it's going to be, then they cut all the rest of this bullshit short. We keep moving. That's how I feel. But nah, I mean, you watch it if you want. I don't care. Next question. Could you see yourself doing TV again? Dude, I do TV like 3 or 4 times a week. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I be doing TV on the weekends sometimes. Like, what do you mean? Like, could I see myself hosting my own television show? I mean, yeah. Like, what do you think I quit? I'm so terribly confused by this. Could I see myself doing television today? Yeah. I think I might see myself doing something maybe on Monday, maybe this weekend. Yeah. How does the lead up to turning 40 feel different versus the lead up to 30? Oh, not really. I mean, when you think about it, base 10 is kind of arbitrary. Like, I ain't really going through no whole lot of, this is my life. What does it come to? Am I where I'm supposed to be? I'm not much of a goal-setting type or any of that stuff, right? I guess the big difference between leading up to 30 and leading up to 40 is I was dead broke leading up to 30. Not anymore. Hey, look, man, that's a big deal. Like, I got a whole lot less to worry about than maybe I could have if a couple things had broke a little bit differently. But nah, man, birthday's gonna be next week. You guys notice I don't really necessarily do it all the way up for my birthday. We might do a podcast or something. I don't know. I'm gonna try to find something to do with myself. Like, it is kind of noteworthy. I mean, it's 40. Like, it's a thing. The big do it up, I guess I probably would have done. I just had to pass that off again to 41 because, as I just said before, base 10 is some arbitrary shit. You under dig? Not a big deal, you know. 41 a big deal if I say 41 a big deal. But nah, man. I mean, this has been a particularly interesting year of my life, right? I guess I can say that part. I think it's less about leading up to 40 than if I was going to do anything. It's just looking at what everything has been from last August to now. Like, all of the things that have kind of changed and happened personally and professionally. A professional has been certainly a bit of a roller coaster. But nah, man, you know, I'm in better shape at going into 40 than I was going into 30. You know, for all that stuff I keep telling y'all about before. You know, the yoga, the workout, feeling on my own booty, you know, all of that. Yeah, somebody in the chat room just said something interesting, though. Like, 30 was old when I was 20. I will tell you this. 40, and maybe it's just because, I mean, again, I'm a single man with no children and all that stuff. But 40 doesn't feel nearly as old as I had at every turn of life thought that it would. You know, like, I have older parents. My dad was 43 when I was born. My mom was 37, right? So I'm, dead in the middle on this one. I imagine that 40, you know, at a different point would have felt older than it does. Like, I don't feel any, you know, as much as you, dumbass youngsters like to call anybody old that's over 28. Like, I really don't feel old. Like, I know I'm older than a lot of people. Like, there's no question about that. But I do not feel anywhere near old. Like, it's not even some in denial type stuff or midlife crisis. Like, no, it just doesn't feel that way. Like, in all likelihood, I've lived more days than I have left. But still, it don't feel like old. It's just not the way it hits me. All right. I think you got like one more question here. Well, I'll answer this one, then get to another one. Do you and Gabe hang out outside of work? Number one, Gabe and I don't live in the same city. Number two, I don't hang out with anybody right now. It's a fucking pandemic, fool. How does it feel to be the first generation to fully grow old with hip hop? I mean, compared to what? I don't really know what to tell you. Yeah, guys, that's literally the last question on the page. I've done the best I can. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on the Evening Jones. Try to do this thing once a week or so. My man Lance Gilliam handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, if you cannot watch the Evening Jones live, you can subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the iTunes Store, subscribe at Stitcher Radio. Check us out at SoundCloud. We are also at the Google Play Store. And talk to you guys. We'll see you about next week. Take it easy.